Hello again, Jets fans. Welcome to another Fridays in February video here during Black History Month 2021. The Jets are celebrating this entire month. We've got a lot more content for you. But after our chat with L.A. Grissom, we've got another one here live from the Janesville Ice Arena. We've got Charlie Schoen, forward on this team's second-year player, the first ever Jet to commit Division I, first ever Black Jet to commit Division I. Arizona State University is where he's headed. And of course, everyone knows Lennie Childs, over 100 games played in a Jets uniform, and obviously now our associate head coach. Friday in February, by the time we release this, February 9, big practice day, off weekend. First question, just how's the week going for you guys? With no opponent at the end of it, it's got to be nice to have a weekend off.
Yeah, it's nice. I think we've been getting after it this week, working on a lot of things that we need to clean up, but it's been a good week so far.
Yeah, it's fun for the coaches and the players. They want the cookie at the end of having the game, but for the coaches, it's fun to work on stuff that you wouldn't normally be able to work on in a normal week with games. So doing some creative stuff and some things that are outside of the box, and hopefully to develop these guys for the next upcoming games in a couple weeks here.
Yeah, big. After a big sweep too, to get back first place, it's nice to have maybe even just a quick breather. But again, Jets fans celebrating Black History Month. We at the Jets want to make sure that everyone does much more than just follow our content, watch what we're doing. Check out what other hockey teams are doing. Check out what other sports teams are doing. Check out what other youth programs and nonprofit programs are doing, especially right here in Rock County. Black History Month is obviously about so much more than hockey, and we have some exciting news to share, not just yet, about how we're going to tie in what we're doing this month content-wise with some local opportunities. But again, today, just a conversation, Fridays in February, so we're chatting with Charlie and Lennie. First question's for you, Charlie. Kid from Andover, Minnesota. You got your D1 commitment. You're here. What does it mean to you? We're 10 days in now, almost, to Black History Month. What does it mean to you to be a black player in a sport like junior hockey, especially, at this level?
I guess I've never really thought about it like that, but I mean, bringing up that question, I feel like it's a cool feeling, knowing that, potentially I could be like a role model to other kids of color or some minorities that, maybe have never seen the game and they look at me and think that, maybe they can be a part of this too. So it's a cool feeling.
Yeah, and actually I was going to touch on that, right? We, as hockey fans, no matter what you're following, we're seeing a lot of that this Black History Month, these stories about representation and, of course, why it matters. Because, for many, maybe not all, but for many kids of different minority statuses, there are extremely strong signals of possibility, right? When they look up and they see someone who looks like them in a sport or a field they're interested in. So for either of you, Charlie, we'll start with you, and then Lennie, if you, was there a time when you remember seeing someone who looks like you, either live on the ice or on the TV screen?
Yeah, I remember the first one, I was actually talking with Coach Lennie about it, was Anson Carter, and he's on the Columbus Blue Jackets. That was the first time I had seen any person of color playing in, the NHL, so that was the one I really, really remember.
Lennie?
Yeah, Anson Carter as well. So being from Washington, D.C. or Maryland, Washington Capitals at one point had Mike Greer, Anson Carter, and a guy named Jason Doig, and it was three African American players playing for a team that's a primarily black community in DC, and that was something for me that I was like, wow, like three you never see, usually one, but seeing three was awesome. And I actually had a chance to meet Mike Greer at ice level. He signed something for me, and just meeting him was something that I'm like, wow, this is a level that we can get to, and that got me fired up. And I think it was kind of a cerebral back in the mind thought that he was black, right? I saw a guy that looked like me and that was talking to, that was pretty cool. And now seeing it today, like that, a huge, profound impact in my life.
Right, especially in a sport like hockey, which, it's no secret. When it's compared to baseball or to football or to basketball or to soccer even, this is a very white sport, and representation really matters. It's funny that you brought up, the market too, specifically, because sometimes in order to reach not just different levels of who's playing the game, but who's watching the game, right? That can be important. Making sure that the fans that are in your backyard feel like this game is for them, even though it might not look like it is. That right now, this game might look very, very white. This game is still for you. It's still for everybody. So sort of leading into that, you guys obviously both had a lot of success already. Division I commitment. You're on your way into a really successful coaching career. Plenty more to come for you both, of course. There's a good chance that each of you will be, at some point down the line, or maybe even already has been recognized by a young black fan, either trying to get into hockey or just trying to be curious. If this game for me, this is a fun game, but it looks really white. Maybe you guys have already been that. What sort of work do you guys think needs to be done right now? Not that we're here today in Janesville to solve this, but these are important questions to have this month. What sort of work do you think needs to be done to make sure that hockey, maybe even specifically junior hockey, is a place that welcomes and accepts everybody beyond just what it looks like it does?
Yeah, I think just keep doing what a lot of teams are doing right now, is they're actually recognizing people of color in the game and saying hey, we love this, we want to grow the game. So I feel like it's important to keep pushing that message that it's not just a white sport or whatever, it's for everybody. So I feel like that's important.
Yeah.
Yeah, to that point, I would say kind of how I got going in the game, just just getting out in the communities that you wouldn't normally get into, right? And in Maryland, it was a new rink opening up, and someone putting out a sign saying, "Come try hockey for free," right? Play hockey for free is awesome, and it's kind of a sticker shock thing right off the bat, and it's really intimidating, right? You're not able to just go to a basketball court or football field and run around. You have to enter a big place, and there's a lot of things going on, and where do I go, much like golf, right?
Yeah.
So just being able to I say give the access and give the confidence of access to the places that you wouldn't normally see them. So I think that's something big.
Equipment and accessibility are things that I touched on in my chat with LA as well. It's no secret that this is an incredibly expensive sport to play, particularly at serious and elite levels. To get to where a guy like you has gotten to, where you're playing top tier junior hockey, you're committed to Division I. I mean, the bills add up. I mean, are there memories that either of you guys have? Because Charlie, you're not even 20 yet, but I mean, over the course of your career, things have gone up even. Mm-hmm. And obviously, Lennie, you remember what it was like. Any memories you guys have of that sticker shock, or what it was like to talk with your family about the cost of hockey and sort of the decision that they were making to help you guys chase your dreams? Yeah,
it's huge. I mean, shout out to my parents, your parents. It's a huge financial burden when you get up the ranks, right? It was one of those things where you got to sit down and talk and say, hey, this is something you really want to do. There are some sacrifices that you do have to make, but there are so many programs that are out there in order to make it cheaper, right? There's a lot of sponsored teams. I myself, went through some sponsorship things when I played youth hockey. There are people there to help, which is awesome, as long as you show, you put in the work, right? I've had buddies that have come from, zero money, but because they're great human beings and they want to be in the game, people have found a way to get them staying and playing and competing in the game. So there are people that are here to help, and that's the cool part about the game.
Do you have any memories of some of those sticker shocks early on when you realized just how much your parents were spending on skates?
Yeah, I think that kind of came with age. When I was younger, I really had no clue. I didn't pay attention. And as I got older, I started to go with my parents to the stores and realized wow, it's about $250 for sticks, and senior skates are almost $1,000 now and stuff like that. So it's really, as it comes with age, you start to realize how much your parents really have to sacrifice just for you to play hockey.
Yeah, and that's where I'll restate, for our viewers what we talked about with LA, but we really appreciate what Janesville Youth Hockey does, particularly with Try Hockey for Free. It's obviously a great program all over USA Hockey, but here in Janesville, they had some of the highest numbers in all of Wisconsin, and that's not even relative to market size. That's just overall in their last few Try Hockey for Free events. It's easy to draw that parallel, and because it's important, right? The racial wealth gap in the United States right now is bigger than it's been in 70 years almost, right? So, and it's obvious to see how this game can make inroads if it addresses some of the other elements going on too. But for sort of the here and the now, rather than thinking sort of macroeconomical, just today in locker rooms like Janesville's, in locker rooms around junior hockey, or even some of the minor pros. What do you guys think about today in locker rooms? What are work that coaches can do or advisors can do to build more accepting or continue the accepting cultures in locker rooms?
I think the coaches this year have been doing a great job. It's just every once in a while we have meetings and we like talk about like real issues like this, and not even just things about color, but just anything in life, issue stuff. So I feel like just keep talking about it, and having those conversations with your players and stuff like that really helps.
Yeah. What do you think, Lennie?
I think it's just really finding, the coaches that are already doing it and having them do more of it, right? Like, I think of the first time I walked into an ice rink to play hockey, a coach by the name of Nelson Burton that played in the NHL, ended up training me for 10 years of my life, welcomed me with open arms, shook my hand, was so energetic about me being there, and I'm black, right? That doesn't mean anything to him, right? It didn't mean anything to a lot of different coaches. So there are people out there right now that are doing the right things that don't get, blasted of saying they are doing the right things,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I think it's maybe even recognizing the people that have been there that aren't just black, but that are doing those things for players like us that come into rinks. And if we can get more people doing that, I think we're going to have a bigger base and a wider base of African American, Hispanic, Asian players coming into the rink once they know they're accepted amongst the community, which they are, and we've shown that. I think that'll definitely skyrocket us.
Yeah, practice means everything, right? Last question sort of about Black History Month. How do you guys feel like this game is doing with Black History Month? It was only a couple years ago that the National Hockey League specifically recognized it, rather than just sort of lumping it in with what is obviously a really important program with Hockey is for Everyone, recognizing the game's minority status fans outside of race, but it's Black History Month. It has to be acknowledged. 9 days in, you guys are both pretty big on social media. How do you guys feel like this game in general is doing with it?
I think we're doing awesome. We're celebrating some big achievements. We're celebrating people within the game, which is essentially boosting the viewership. Like LeBron James gets celebrated in the NBA, Tiger Woods gets celebrated in golf, right? Like there's other examples of it in different sports, and I think that's what the sport has been missing a little bit, was the celebration of those black players, Hispanic players that have come before, and that are still playing, right? Jerome Ginla and Evander Kane, Joel Ward back in the day. That's just showing social media that any black kid out there that I can do this. Like to Charlie's point, I could do this. I could be a player in the sport. I think we're doing an awesome job, and I think after this month, my goal is to splice it in throughout the rest of the year, right? It doesn't have to be all about the blacks and Hispanics, but as a whole, celebrating everyone. I think that'll be awesome, growing the game after this month.
How about you, Charlie? What do you think?
I think the NHL especially has been doing a great job of it. Like, I feel like that's the biggest stage, right? So it starts with them too, and I feel like they've really been embracing like having people of color in the game and like really pushing that message to fans and like a bunch of people that really pay attention. So I feel like they've been doing a really good job. And then with Janesville, I'm glad that you guys have really showed that you guys care about having us here, and it's been awesome, like knowing that people really do appreciate, seeing people of color in the game.
Well, we appreciate you guys taking some time too, and obviously LA, we really appreciated an opportunity to just chat about Black History Month and about what it means to be black in this game. Last question, Lennie, I'll leave it with you. Considering that you work obviously not just as a coach here with junior hockey players, but with players even younger, your Futures Camp, and you've worked with youth skaters here before. Considering that's sort of your passion for this game, is the youth and the future of it, how would you like to contribute to the hockey world to sort of leave it in a better place, more evolved and ready for more black players than it was when you found it in the early 90s?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think it's just being inclusive in everything, right? I don't personally look at a player and say, oh, he's black or he's white today. I think it's just getting every single player loving the game, passionate about the game, better in the game every single time they walk in the door. That's my goal, and if you'd say that's my mission statement as a person or a coach. I think in doing that, if each kid can have a great experience while they're on the ice with me or anyone, that's what's going to bring them back, right? And it's not going to be because of the color of their skin. It's because they had great experiences, right? And they felt like they mattered on the ice. So I think if we can all, and me especially, like get each kid to matter every time they're on the ice and get a personal touch on them, they're going to want to grow in the game, which is obviously an awesome sport that we're in right now. And we're in it because there were great people, no matter black, white, or gray, that helped us through, and they're still helping us through. And that's why we're essentially, still part of this amazing game.
Well, anything else you guys want to touch on the Jets Hockey and Black History Month? All right, well, we appreciate you both making some time after practice today for another Fridays in February. Jets fans, we've got a lot more coming. We have some exciting news to announce about a month-long campaign to tie into the series and to tie into our games as well, and a couple of wins over Chippewa might help. We have a fun field trip to announce too later coming up. Our big thanks to Ellie Grissom for joining us, to Lennie, and to Charlie for joining us today, and of course for the Jets team behind the scenes who helped make this happen. Thanks, Jets fans, and we'll talk to you soon on another Fridays in February.